Hi, welcome to Monty's Misadventures. I'm Monty, and these are my misadventures. Dirt Bike Edition. All right, today, this video actually was shot a while back, but I thought I would bring this one back out because it's one of my last rides on my KLX 250 dual sport, the Kawasaki. I've sold that bike since then, and now I'm riding a KLX 300R, which is it's not a street legal motorcycle. It's a dirt bike just for trail riding. Anyway, so that's why this particular video is going right now. But I also thought I would touch base on how I went about developing my trail system. This is basically started out as nothing but a nature walk. You know, I would walk back through here and find paths through the woods. Essentially what I tried to do was use whatever resources I had in front of me. So there were some trails that were already cut out back here that helped out a lot. But over time, most of the primary trail that went down from the old farmhouse down to the swamp has been taken away, where they had sold the property and were building houses. So mostly now I'm on trails that I built myself. Where I'm going up this hill right here, we call it Pea Gravel Hill. This is one that was in there before we ever came along, and it looked like they had some, side by side, an ATV that was able to get down in here. But the trail has grown up so much since then, you couldn't get through there. So I've cut new trails to connect up. One of the other things that's helpful is that you look for places where trails naturally would sit, like where water would run, probably paths that the deer make where they were going down to the water and moving around back there. I think even some of the trails belong to cows. There were cow paths where the cows, the same thing, were going down towards the swamp or the creek to drink water. So there were some ditches in there. So I tried to connect up as much as that as I could. Otherwise, I used it was just me and my machete and hacking away at limbs and such to make a nice clearing. So the problem is, you can walk through wooded paths, and if you brush up against the trees, that's how you get ticks or other kind of biting insects. They live on the leaves of the trees and so forth, and when they feel something rub up against them, they jump off. So the thing to do is to clear it out the best you can, so you're never actually touching trees. Oh, by the way, that's the Pattersons over there. I found this abandoned grave site, and it was in pretty much disrepair when I first found it back there. But I came back one day with chainsaw and rakes and such, and cleaned it up. There were trees that had fallen all over it, so I got all the old dead trees off of it and raked it out, so it looks much better now. The Pattersons were that was a family of mom, dad, and a kid. And the mom and dad were born back in the late part of the Civil War, and they died, I think it was around 1927, 1930. The child was born 20 years after they were born. They were about 20, but he didn't live that long. He died in 1917, I want to say, and very likely either the influenza or it could have been the war. I'm not really certain about all of that. But anyway, that's the Pattersons, and I think their ghosts still haunt these woods. Over here to the left, Mediocre Canyon. All right, back to trail building, and that's what it was. You try to make a trail to where you can pass through it with the least amount of contact with plants around you, and that's why it tends to weave back and forth a little bit. Plus, what I was trying to do. I don't want to take shortcuts because I'm trying to get exercise in. I'm trying to walk. So I did loop it around in places just to add a few extra miles to the yards. It's the entire trail is only about 2.5 miles. You can make it about 3.5 if you loop back to a couple of different places. I don't know where I'm at right now. Let's see, where am I going to go? I think I'm going to go up this hill right here. If you remember from a previous video, at this point is where I fell off the bike. I was trying to turn hard to the left, and it didn't work out so well. And I got launched over the side, but no harm, no foul. Figured out to go this way instead. Of course, I went a little too far, so now I got to back it up. Beep, beep, beep. That was my backup signal. Not a very good backup signal. But anyway, back down this hill here, and we'll make a right along this kind of a mushy area. It was I guess a creek or something that was coming down through here, but it's mostly dried up now. A lot of fun though. I love going up and down the hills, and that was part of the trail system as well. You'll see that up ahead. One of the problems I ran into was, I'm trying to get exercise in, and I'm dragging my grandson down here, and he doesn't really like going up really steep hills. It's so much fun on the motorcycle. I just couldn't help it. I just thought this was, and these don't look that big or that steep, but they are when the GoPro doesn't do it justice. So in the end, what I had to do was find softer climbs, more switchbacks, and that works out pretty well. You start going back and forth, finding a way that you can climb without having to hope you don't fall in a big old bundle of dirt or something. Here I'm lost again, but I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to say, all right, we can just do this. And, really you can. Sometimes things are intimidating, but I heard once somebody say that there's the rule of 5. You count to 5 and go. If you've decided you're going to do it, give yourself that 5 seconds to think about what it is you're doing. But if you start your 5-second countdown, you have to go. That gets you over it, for better or for worse. Anyway, this is part of the trail that was already there. It looks like it was a side-by-side coming down through here, but the issue was that it grew up, so that it's no longer a side-by-side capable place to go. And here we go back over this little creek bed. A lot of fun. Then we're going to make a hard turn up here to the left. And this is also one of the places where I sort of did a switchback thing to ease it up, but honestly, it didn't really help. It just lengthened the walk somewhat. So I walked this a whole lot, and one of the disappointing things about it was when the fall rolled around and the leaves fell on the trail, and after all the time I'd spent, walking in a nice trail, it disappeared overnight. But not a big deal, really. I'm thinking about next fall coming down here with a leaf blower and blow it off, but that'd be a heck of a long leaf blowing mission. And honestly, if you just go across it with a dirt bike a few times, that kind of beats it down pretty well, and you can always see where the dirt bike went. But again, we're trying to make it so that it's very passable without tangling up with the trees around, so that you don't collect ticks. And you see I'm going through some trees here. I decided I wanted to go back this way, and this is one of the little extended loops that it doesn't get used very often, so sometimes I get down here and I kind of lose my way. But I'm going to go straight ahead here, and looks like I'm just running off into the woods, but you can see the little red tags on the trees that I put out there that sort of indicate where the trail is supposed to be. I don't like walking through this because you see all that brush on the ground there. Again, ticks, that's where they're going to be living. So that stuff is harder to take care of. And you can tell what it is. It's basically where sunlight is getting through, and there's stuff growing on the floor, below the canopy. So the key is not to walk trails that are go where sunlight can reach it. I'm a little confused here, but I'm going to figure it out. I got to go between this little crack in the log. Later on, I figured out that log is like mush. It's like a sponge. You can just ride right across it, and it doesn't. You don't hardly even feel it's there. And I was dodging it all this time. Yeah, so we're going back to this make do trail. This will bring us up through an area we call Skeleton Pass, and the reason I call it that is because this tree that's fallen in the way, you'll see it over here, a big stump to our, it'll go off our left side, or maybe not, I don't know where it is. It's coming up somewhere. I think I missed it. Yeah, that's what happened. I went the wrong way. But we called it that because there were some deer bones laying around, and where a deer had died, and I set the bones up on the stump so they wouldn't be just on the ground there, and so now we call it Skeleton Pass. That's kind of morbid, I know, but what are you going to do? You know, boys will be boys. So this actually wraps us back around to the original, the way that we actually came in, but I'll take another detour that will give us just a little more of a trail to go down. And that's kind of what you're looking for. Well, yeah, go down this hill. Instead of going to the right like we did coming out, we'll make a left right here and work our way back up, and then we'll come down Pea Gravel Hill. So that's what you do. You figure you have a limited amount of space to work with, so therefore you must use it to the best of your ability. And one of the things that's fun, I mean, really, this is the reason you do it, is because they're hills. You're going up and down. If it was just a flat open field and you were walking across it, that you might as well be walking a track at the local high school. It's just not, to me, that much fun. And that's why I do it, because I need to do something for exercise, whether it's walking or bicycling or dirt bike riding. But the normal things, the running on the treadmill or going to the Y or whatever, that is so boring to me. I can't motivate myself enough to do it. So I don't. I might go for a while and then stop. Whereas this is something I've been able to do all my life and keep up with it, whether it's the dirt bike or the bicycle. All right, we're coming back up on Pea Gravel Hill. We'll make a quick downhill. And again, these downhills are a lot steeper in person than they are through the GoPro. But it's not hard. I mean, this is whether you're sitting or standing, it doesn't really matter. I try to stand as much as I can when I'm riding the dirt bike. That's the key to successful dirt bike riding, standing up. But back to the trail building, my weapon of choice has been a machete that I picked up for, I think, $6 or $7 at Harbor Freight. It has a serrated edge on one side and a sharp edge on the other, and I've got to the point where I can whack through 2 or 3 limbs at a time with it on the little trees that you see out there. The serrated edge comes in real handy when you're cutting down these little saplings that are just in the way. The mistake that I made early on was I would cut the saplings too high up, knowing that, I didn't want to be on my hands and knees cutting right at the ground. And if the stump was sitting up a few inches, you might be afraid of, slipping on it, tripping over it or whatever as you go. So you want to make it high enough that you can see it. And I would put a little ribbon on it so I'd miss it. But it's a problem because it'll hit you. You'll hit your hand or hit your arm or foot or leg. So the key is cut them as short as you can, and just because eventually the stump is going to rot and it's going to go away anyway. Be aware of where things are. Try to dodge all the little saplings the best that you can, and that kind of solves that problem. Roots I thought were going to be a bigger problem than they are, but they're kind of not, especially for the dirt bike. It seems like the way all my trails work out is the roots go perpendicular to the trail, not a lot of parallel roots for whatever reason. So crossing straight over them doesn't hurt much. And here's a good example. This is a bunch of roots right here, and I don't even slow down for them. They're kind of bumpy, but that's fun, right? Bumps are good. Okay, and back into the woods. We're going around. We're looking for stuff, trying not to wreck. Um, so this is a multi-use trail. This will be the last time again, like I said, riding my dual sport through here, and it's been a good bike. I really have enjoyed it. I sure hated having to sell it, but there's just no way I could justify having two motorcycles like that. And I was never riding it on the road, so I thought the Kawasaki, the KLX 300, was a good replacement for it. Now we're going to be coming out of the trail, and I'd actually had to move the trail a little bit because that dirt pile over to our left was it's just always so muddy there, and you're supposed to be able to ride in mud, and that's fine, that works, but why get as muddy, all that mud on you if you don't have to. Okay, there's the house again. Just going to do a quick little loop here, try to do a little power sliding, little jump on the end. Still got a bunch of trees down I need to get rid of. Here's the big jump, and there it is. Not really a big jump, but that's a lot of fun. Anyway, thanks so much for riding along with me today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm going to call it quits for today and head on inside and tell the wife what an epic ride I had. So y'all take care. Be safe out there, and keep the dirty side down, as they say.